Right, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel at Holbridge still with Scotty Minto and David James. How are you guys?
Good, mate. How are you?
Well? I'm good. We were just looking at the clouds, weren't we?
I was admiring the clouds. You were worried about them.
We were talking about the summer.
The very grey clouds.
It's not.
We're here at the end of May, and yet still. Actually, I'm just glad it's not raining. To be honest with you, it was teeming
has.
down when I got in the car.
I reckon if we held our breath, we could hold it long enough for it to start raining.
Well, we've got another video to shoot, so let's get on with this one, and then we'll do that one. Hopefully,
It won't be good TV, but it can happen.
There's rain. There's rain.
It's on its way. Can you smell it?
You can see the rain.
I can smell rain. I can't smell it yet, so we're all good for at least 10 minutes. We're going to be talking League One playoff final. It's Blackpool. It's Lincoln. Early thoughts. What are you thinking?
Do you know what? I first of all got to say, Neil Critchley. I mean, what a job he's done, and to have a very comfortable job in the Liverpool Academy, to then shows how much he wants to be a number one. And Blackpool, let's say, hasn't been the most stable club for the last decade or so, but didn't start too well this season. And then I saw them start to pick up, and I saw them play at the Valley against Charlton, and they won 3-0.
Where were they in the table at the time?
They were about mid-table.
Okay,
but
so
they were. The form was picking up. You could see. 3-0 flattered Charlton. Honestly, they were that good. You know, when you come up against a team where, I suppose men against boys is probably the thing to say, but they're quicker, they're stronger, they're first to the ball, and almost the technical side didn't come into it because they were that much better than Charlton. And I remember telling a lot of people after, I said, watch out for Blackpool. I'm telling you, I think if they get into the playoffs, they could easily go up. And actually, they got into the playoff positions quite easily, and to finish where they did, I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
For Neil, you know, you look at the semi-final, done and dusted in the first leg. Yes, Oxford scored 3 goals in the second, but the tie was done really.
Would Lincoln look at that and think, okay, there's something there that we can?
I think playoff semi-final second legs are just crazy.
Yeah.
And I just don't think you can plan a way to win a final on a second leg semi-final. As I say, I mean, we could name half a dozen semi-final second legs.
Yeah.
Where the first legs aren't particularly great, but the second legs are like,
of course, yeah.
What happened there? They've got, in Chris Maxwell, probably the best goalkeeper in League One. They've got a back four that has the best defence in League One. They've got 2 holding midfielders that just sit in front of the back four that make it really difficult to break down, which is why they have the good. J-Mo would love that, wouldn't he, being a keeper?
Yeah.
Got nothing to do, no chance. No chance.
And then they've got 2 strikers who, in Yates and Sims. Sims is a young lad at Everton, scored 46 goals for the Everton youth team last season. Wow. And I'm telling you, he's going to be a player. Watch out for him.
To the top?
Definitely Premier League.
You've heard it here.
Yeah.
From Scotty Minto.
We'll have to see how high up. There is a bit of gap between the top and the bottom of the Premier League, but also Yates as well. You know, 23 goals this season.
Yeah.
He's been absolutely superb. So they can play nice and tight. They can keep it on the counter attack as well, against the Lincoln side that love to play football. And I just wonder, and I don't know what you think, J-Mo, in a final when there's so much pressure, which side you'd rather play for? Now, you'd always rather play for the footballing side, but in terms of a one-off game, the one that's really compact, the one that's defensively strong, the one that can hit on the counter, but can also play as well. You know, for me, I think out of all 3 finals, I'm not going to say this is the easiest one to predict, but I think this is, shall we say, the least difficult one to predict.
Okay. Compact defence. I mean,
he'd be coming out. And
is it true that as a goalkeeper you want to get that shot early on so you get a feel of the ball, or would you prefer to?
Unfortunately, after playing for a few years, there were times where I just wanted shots.
Yeah. Just
anyone shoot, I'm happy. And not having shots bothered me. I'd train all week not to do anything. Didn't make any sense. But then towards the end of my career, I started to understand that sometimes not having shots is a good thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes having too many shots is a bad thing. So I think going into a final, it's interesting what you say, Scott, because if you've got an organised, steady team, then there's less opportunity or less parameters for change. When you've got a team that depends on so many different factors, the actual final itself could destabilise you. So I think a nice steady defence, solid midfield, and just play the game out.
course,
That
yeah.
means he'd only come out on 2 or 3 occasions to the sort of centre circle. And
Yeah.
Out and instead of 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful thing because we're sort of going through the playoffs in different, obviously from Championship downwards, and the idea of playing at Wembley can be overwhelming. And if you're at a lower level, the idea of jumping up in your career chances, playing at Wembley's got to be everyone's dream, but it's further away in a sense.
Yeah.
So the occasion can get to you. And I often say this, and it sounds a little bit bizarre, and I don't want to have any sort of parity with regards to the levels, but when people play on professional pitches at the end of the season, the first thing they want to do is run around 100 mile an hour like the guys they see on the telly. And it's the occasion that gets them and end up pulling hamstrings. So it's a similar thing in a sense that you have to look after it and play your game, not the occasion. I said that in the last one, but it is a very apt statement. And as I say, if you've got an organised team, steady team, I would argue the steady team has a better chance of getting a normal result.
Yeah,
absolutely.
However, when you've got an effervescent team, it's those moments that change games. So
well, that's football, isn't it?
I'm sitting on the fence like you do. You normally do, Smith.
I love sitting on the fence, mate. I love it. But so you
Not
you
that
meant
fence there because it's falling down.
No, not that one. No, I need definitely.
that's why he sat on that one.
Actually, yeah, this is your home pitch, isn't it?
This is my home. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the fence that Smith sits on.
The very one. Obviously, you went in on Blackpool there, really impressive. Lincoln, 2-0 up against Sunderland in the first leg, 2-0 down in the second.
At half time.
Half time. You kind of, before we were recording, you mentioned about the gaffer. What's he saying? Well, he couldn't. He didn't want to say, didn't
No,
he?
he didn't want to say. So Michael Appleton, he's come out afterwards and he's been asked the question, what did you say at half time? Because I'm telling you now, after and they've had the better season. They were the better side. They showed that in the first leg. They go to Sunderland where the fans are back, and you know that Sunderland fans can be incredibly passionate, both in a positive but also a negative way. So what's the manager saying before the game? Keep it tight, make sure you don't concede, try and turn the crowd. And they just didn't turn up, and he admitted that as well. So when he was asked after the game, what did you say at half time? He said, I can't say. He said, I went old school. Now,
Old school,
you can just
okay.
imagine, J.O., can't
What that
you,
is,
what
yeah.
he would have said at half time.
Yeah,
Because they didn't turn up.
It's a funny one, Smith, isn't it? Because the modern day manager coach and the way that coaches are supposed to be in the modern day football is it's all about respect, rightly so, but it's old school. I mean,
You wonder what
reckon
that is,
A few
but-
expletives coming out, but I mean, the interesting thing, I've got this thing about early goals, scoring too early. So again, as you said, they deserve to be in the lead in the first leg. They go out and Sunderland scored early, and all of a sudden, any preparation, and I think again, old school, no manager, even new school, would say, right, go and score in the first 5 minutes, first 10, 15 minutes. Well, I think it was 13 minutes, wasn't the first goal?
Can't remember now. But
It was early anyway, and then all of a sudden, all the game plan goes out the window. So it's going to half time, and they didn't look good in that first half from what I saw. So the old school tactics, and again, we're talking about the final. If you've got that sort of emotional monster, even a manager not being able to handle the occasion will affect negatively on the team, and it's for the manager to control himself during that occasion as well.
Absolutely brilliant for Michael Appleton, because he's played in the times when we played. Old school times, should we say?
School. Yeah, old school.
But
How does that make you feel?
But
I didn't retire 7 years ago.
yeah, he could still play now, Jamo, probably.
I didn't retire. I haven't retired.
No?
Is
Get on
that
the phone,
official,
Gareth.
yeah? Gloves are still there.
Gareth's waiting for you. He's waiting for your answer then.
But no, I mean, but he's a new school manager. He's an excellent manager. He's already experienced, and what he needed to do there wasn't tactical, and it wasn't technical. It was mental, psychological. So he realised he had to say, you are throwing all the good work you've done to one side, because at half time nobody would have put money on Lincoln.
No.
He made 2 substitutions. They were fantastic, and then suddenly they got back to the Lincoln side that they were, and a better side than Sunderland. Missed the penalty, so it could have been even better, but fully deserved to get through, I think. And I've seen them a few times this season. A very good footballing side. The young, because they're young, that was the problem.
Right.
And it's going to be interesting to see how they react in Wembley, because maybe what happened at the Stadium of Light, in what is a wonderful stadium with incredibly passionate fans, might well have helped them prepare for what's about to come to Wembley. But they are a very good passing side. They've got some fantastic players. Brennan Johnson, David's son, on loan from Forest. He can speak to his old man about what it's like to play at the top level and also in the playoffs as well. And they've also got a young lad, Morgan Rogers from Manchester City, who's 18. Arguably the two best players at this level. And if they are to keep those players on loan, then they need to go up. So you've almost got a really fantastic, well-organised team against a very good young footballing team with great individuals.
Which way does it go?
Which way does it go?
Well, obviously, they played twice in the league. It's Lincoln that got the bragging rights at the moment. So they won 3-2 in October, but then it was 2-2 in April. So there's goals. There's goals in this game.
Wouldn't that
So
be good?
yeah, so if those two games are anything to go by, we should be getting an entertaining final, or maybe not. Maybe one will shut up shop, and we'll see. But what are you thinking? What are you leaning towards?
I'm leaning towards Blackpool.
Yeah.
Just because I saw them at the Valley. They were so impressive. I think they've carried that on. We talked about the sort of the well-organised unit. They've got the best defence. They've probably got the best goalkeeper. They've got two holders, and they're just so difficult to break down.
So it's like the second part of this season, the momentum coming into this.
Yeah, there's momentum, and funny enough, I spoke to Lenny Lawrence actually, who gave me my professional debut at Charlton back in the 80s. And I said to him about
old school, yeah.
He's proper old school. And I said to him about momentum, and he went, "It doesn't matter." He said, "I got into the playoffs with momentum and didn't get through."
Right.
He said, "I sneaked in without momentum and we went out and got promoted." I would say though, from a personal point of view, I'd rather have it than not.
Yeah.
So
momentum, schmomentum.
One-off games, anything can happen.
No, again, there's too many. Right, so you play a game a week, say for normal terms. You train 5 days in between. It's the 5 days in between which will affect the next performance. Because when Man City went on, or a team goes on a 24 winning streak, well, the momentum is as good as it's going to get. They're going to win the 25th. You don't even need to turn.
So you're more of you're only as good as your last game.
No, you're only as good as training before your game.
The training before you go.
Yeah, and therefore, again, it's the occasion. Does the manager handle the occasion? Does the player handle
the preparation.
It's not about the games that you played before it.
Okay.
These are one-off games, aren't they? And for many of these players, the biggest game they've ever played in.
Is the biggest they'll ever play.
Yes.
Yeah. Is the preparation any different? Or
yeah, and this is the whole point.
And does that put pressure on you as well? Because you would rather just do your normal thing and feel comfortable. Or...
So I mean, I don't know these guys, the coaches there, but I often say this when you look at the top level coaches, you can see a certain pattern in them when they're performing well, their teams are performing well, and you can see a pattern. I love pre-match interviews. When I interview a manager pre-match, I can usually tell whether the team's going to play well or not. So you get into this thing where Pep, for example, if he's not his normal self, Man City play badly, and you could argue why. It just might be coincidental, but I think that when the manager goes in the change room and he's not himself, the team know.
Players, yeah.
And as soon as the team know the manager's not right, then they start questioning themselves.
See, I like looking at the players in the tunnel beforehand.
Okay.
I like looking at their faces and see if they've got the game face on or not. If they're relaxed, that's fine. If they've got the game face on, the kind of anything could be going on, but I'm so blinkered into what I'm about to do, that's fine. Or are they nervous?
Yeah.
So I like looking at the tunnel just before
that one always does me, because the problem with the player in a tunnel, especially say for the playoffs, unless you've seen these players during the course of the season in the tunnel,
you don't know the difference.
There's no reference.
Yeah.
Whereas the manager's pre-match talk is every game, so you kind of get that gauge. But I think, and you haven't asked me who I'm going for. I'm going for Lincoln.
I was about to. You're going Lincoln, yeah?
Yeah, because my first staycation was in Lincolnshire.
Okay. For that reason
as
alone.
good a reason as any.
Well, it's going to be a close game, and if you're going to have to sit on the fence and go one way, then I guess that's a good enough reason. I'm a similar situation, because I like to sit on the fence, but I'm going to have to go one way because you're going to force me, aren't you? Love teams that play in orange. I do.
How can you have the colour of the kit as a basic?
Well, you stayed in Lincoln, so that's not much better. So
I was near their stadium.
Oh, right, okay.
There's me trying to analyse the players and the teams.
We've gone down to location and colour. Well, we'll see who comes out on top, won't we? But no, some good insights there. Thank you, lads.
Didn't need to do all this prep.
Yeah, no, who cares? Yeah, it's a one-off game. Anything can happen, but yeah, hopefully it'll be a cracker. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and yeah, we'll see you soon.